All right. Welcome to the Diary of a Former Fat Kid. I'm your host and former fat kid, Brian Greers Butler. Today, I have the privilege of hanging out with Aldrin, aka Buzz. He is the founder and principal physiotherapist and managing director of ProForm Physiotherapy, a group of premium centers based in Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Buzz.
Hey,
How
man.
you doing today?
Pleasure. So good to be here. And I love that intro. How good. That's the best.
Cool, man. Cool. So, tell me, I mean, let's dive right into it. Actually, the first question I had, because I had it in the intro, and I was like, I actually don't know how to pronounce your last name. And I was like, I would like to know that.
Yeah. So my last name's Oxing. So
Boxing.
if
Okay.
if you think boxing without the B, that's exactly how you pronounce it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. I would have said it wrong. I think I would have had it all soft.
It's all good. I'll forgive you if you got it wrong. It's all fine.
Cool. For those who may be wondering how Buzz and I connected, what was it like 2, 3 years, 2.5 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, we connected on an Instagram coaching class held by L Money. That's her real name. No fancy handles. Yeah, we met there, and we didn't talk much then at the time, but I was really impressed with Buzz and the company that he had built in Australia, and just followed them for the next year or so, and then reached out to Buzz directly because of some ongoing pain I've been having in my back. One, and then two, I never worked with a physiotherapist virtually, and I was like, okay, what is this like? How skills, how did the skills translate to the virtual setting? And I mean, it was amazing. They definitely helped me out a lot. And so that's how we got connected. We worked together for a number of months last year, and just stayed in touch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild to figure out how long it's been since we first met. But geez, what a journey you have been on, what I've been on. It's a completely different world out there on social media, isn't it? But
Yeah.
honestly, super honored to help you with your back pain and watching you commit to your exercises and putting it in the app and letting us know how you're going. You're like the perfect patient, Brian. We love working with people like you. So,
Awesome.
but the proof's in the pudding, right? Like you're moving around, you're doing more things. We got you to running, mate. It was incredible. So, big ups to you for your efforts.
Much appreciated. So tell us about like who you are, a bit of your origin story, based in Sydney, born and raised there.
No, I was actually born in the Philippines.
Okay.
I'm from mum and dad from the Philippines, and we came to Australia when I was about 6 months old. So we moved to the Northern Beaches, which is in Sydney, and grew up there for about 11 years of my life. And then 12 years old, we moved out west to an area called Western Sydney, and grew up there for most of my life until high school. Went to university, got married, and then now we live a little bit more in what they call the Hills District. So a little bit more green, more space, and yeah, it's awesome. So that's it pretty much. Yeah, we weren't born here, but I was raised here. And
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I noticed the Filipino boxing glove back there, and I was like, okay, let me. Yeah.
You might not know it, but that's actually Manny Pacquiao's glove. I have a
It is.
yeah.
You got a sparring glove? Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can see it. It's a bit faint, but
That's fire.
he's signed it. It's a bit faint, but essentially one of my friends, he is, well, a few of my friends, they all write songs and sing for Hillsong, and they were over at Manny Pacquiao's house once, and he gifted every one of them one of these and signed it. And one of my friends like, Brad, I know you'd appreciate this so much, so here's a glove from Manny Pacquiao, your uncle. I was like, this is awesome, man. So I keep it.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, so good.
So how'd you, after you said went to university, got married, etc., moved there? Like, when did your journey with physio start?
Yeah, so it started when I used to get injured in high school. I grew up as a very sporty kid, always wanting to win and do my best and excel. But with a lot of sports came a lot of injuries. And I played, well, first I did taekwondo, I played soccer at an elite level, and then basketball as well. And one day I did my ACL on the court, just completely blew my ACL in my knee. And so spending time at the physio was such a regular thing. I was there 2 to 3 times a week, and I realized, like, wow, I really enjoy being around my physiotherapist. We got along really well. And compared to, the doctor's office where you're in and out within a couple of minutes, this physiotherapist gave me the time. We had a good time. Loved getting exercises going and just feeling stronger and improving day by day. And so I kind of thought, well, I'm doing enough of this. I might as well become one, So didn't really know what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to be in sport, but coming from your typical Asian family background, they want you to become a doctor or a surgeon. And so it was still in the medical field, just not, just not a doctor. So I decided to do physio, and I really wanted to work with athletes because that's kind of what my physio did for me. So that journey kind of began then. And to get into physiotherapist is extremely hard. You got to get a very high score or GPA or I don't know what you call it there, but you got to get a high score for your high school. I think they call them the SATs maybe. Is that no?
Yeah, SAT and ACTs, yeah.
Yeah, so you got to get a very high score. So thankfully I got in and went to university for 4 years, did my honors degree in my last year, wrote a paper, got the university medal. So I was very passionate, but also relatively okay at physio. So I always knew that, because my family being Filipino we didn't come from money. And so I always wanted to run my own business, start something where I had financial freedom and the time to build something the opportunity to build something epic. And so running a business was my main thing. And so once I graduated, day one, I opened my physio business and started treating from home in my parents' living room. So that's how ProForm all began. And it kind of just evolved from there to traveling to people's places, plugging myself in gyms, and then, fast forward 14 years and we've got several big locations with a kick-ass team.
Nice. So when you were studying at university and you knew you wanted to go the entrepreneurial route, did they offer business classes? No. It was like it is here.
Yeah, university teach you, they teach you very well how to treat, but they don't teach you how to run a business. And so, I had to do my own digging, my own research, make my own mistakes, find out the answers to things that I just wish somebody had for me at the time. But, you with business, you just kind of wing it, I think, when you first starting out. So no, they didn't teach you much about that at all.
Gotcha. In those early years, were there any people or resources that really helped you, I guess, get over the humps and learn what you need to learn from a business standpoint, in addition to trial and error?
Yeah. To be honest, no, not really. I didn't know that business coaches existed. And even if they did, I thought they probably would cost a lot of money. Social media wasn't a thing there. So, to find one, you'd have to look at the local newspaper or whatever directory. But I went to ask questions off the physios that used to treat me and the physios that I was working for and under their wing. And I think the scary part for them is when you start asking them about how do I open my own clinic, they start to worry that you're going to leave. So they're not very helpful in the sense as they don't want you to open up your own space because that means no business for them. So no, I didn't really get a lot of support, didn't really know what to do. So I had to just find out along the way, which is why, these days I'm doing what I'm doing, which is now helping other people who want to launch their business to do that without the friction or the headache of trying to find all the answers, because I didn't have that when I was launching mine.
Okay. How did it make you feel when you went to the seasoned physios who had their own businesses kind of discovered that they were operating more with a scarcity mindset and didn't want to teach you how to run a successful.
Well, it didn't really inspire me to stick around, did it?
Yeah.
I think, one of my core values right now is never gatekeep, because that's how I felt when I was building my business, is that everybody was holding on to the secrets. And,
Yeah.
and it does definitely come from a space of insecurity, which, is outside of my control. But geez, I just imagine if everybody was very generous with their time and ability to give people the knowledge and skills, and just come with a free game mindset of, there's so many people out there to treat. There's just too many opportunities for everybody to win. I think the world would be a better place. So definitely felt a little bit taken away by it. But, when your first year out, you kind of don't really ask questions. You just put your head down, do as you're told. And for me, that was really why I stuck to working in a full-time space whilst building my business, was because there was a lot about the physio realm that I didn't really know. I wanted to make sure if I'm going to run my business, I need to be held accountable somewhere else to ensure that what I'm doing is always being refined and developing and evolving with the times, so that, the product or service that I offer isn't the issue. And I feel like that's the right way to do it anyway. In your first couple of years, is really focus on your offer and your service.
Gotcha. Okay, so you started your business day one, but you also went and got employed at some other places so that you can be working under them, see how it runs, learn what you can, et cetera.
That's right. That was the goal. Just absorb absolutely everything. Ask as many questions as possible. Make the mistakes early and frequently so that I can learn from them and do things better as soon as possible, just to get my reps up. And, because it's a disservice to the people that I would serve in my own business if I wasn't investing in my own professional development for them. Otherwise I'm prioritizing the money in the business versus what I actually want to do is help people. So I stuck with it for a long period of time, and you just get to a point where it's like, okay, I think I've exhausted enough from here. Time to move on.
Gotcha. How many years in was that when you went full time into?
Probably about 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years, 4 to 5 years. I decided to pull a pin on working full time for people, and it was more because I realized I just couldn't do it all. Because my day would look like I would work at my business in the morning at 5 a.m. because I first plugged my business upstairs of a CrossFit gym. And, CrossFitters are just frothers for training. So they wake up at 5 a.m., they train from 5 onwards. And my first patient was at 5. Treat my patients until 7, drive from 7 to 7:30 to my full-time job, work from 7:30 to about 6:30, drive from 6:30 back to the gym where I'd treat it again, and I'd treat from 7 all the way to 9 p.m. And then I'd train and do that all over again every single day. So, that's kind of how it rolled, and it's not sustainable. I just got to a point where it's like, I just can't, I got to pick one. And the opportunities are way too good over here for my own business. And I've learned enough that I just had to fully commit, which is scary, but also very rewarding.
Okay. In those early years, were you already married?
No. I was dating my wife. So at the time she was my girlfriend, and she and I got together at the end of our final year of high school. So high school sweethearts is our story. So
okay, nice.
Not yet. No, we actually got married after about 10 years of dating. So,
Okay.
a lot of prayer. No, just a lot of we both had some goals that we wanted to tick before committing to marriage, and we once everything was sorted, then we did it.
Gotcha. Okay. How long have you been married now?
Oh man, this is a question I'm going to get in trouble for. Well, we've been married for about 7 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think. Let's hope that's right.
Yeah. We're married for about 7, together for
a long period of time, 2011. So, 2007. So 18 years now. 18 years we've been together. Yeah. So, well, almost 18. So yeah, that's correct. About 10 years and then 7 married. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was
I hope my
like,
wife doesn't watch this and I'm in trouble
you're,
for figuring this sort of stuff. She set me up
well,
wrong.
you're not far off,
No, no,
so
no.
yeah, so it's all good.
Plus or minus 2, That's the
Yeah, there
leeway.
we go. Um, okay, so you both had goals during that time. I was gonna say, yes. I guess even with that, did she keep as rigorous a schedule as you did? Like, what was that schedule? How did that
Oh,
schedule affect you all's dynamic and relationship?
look, my wife is like super organized, I'm kind of she's a godsend because I'm kind of the visionary. I've got these crazy ideas and they just come from everywhere and I want to do it all. Whereas she's very good at looking at that, making it into a very simple didactic plan to go, okay, this is what you need to do step by step. So she has or had a very crazy schedule, but only because she was committed to her craft. And she, in high school, I don't know what you call it there. We call it ducks here, but in America, it's valedictorian. She graduated at the top of
Yep.
our class, our school. And so she's a very smart cookie,
Mm-hmm.
So she is a hard worker, very passionate at what she does. And she was a chartered accountant for half of her career and decided to make the shift over to doing teaching. So she's a high school teacher now, which means she's very good at lesson planning and looking at what needs to be done and coming up with strategies to execute appropriately. So yeah, she's crazy, but in a good way, in a very organized way.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Has she been instrumental in helping you think through and structure some of the plans and curriculums and stuff like that you guys perform?
Yeah, without a doubt. She is known as the backbone of the company for sure. Because, I'll share a story. When I first started doing ProForm, I remember that I didn't put tax aside. I didn't understand tax. I didn't understand how money works, where to put your money, how to save it, this and that, keeping receipts, all that sort of thing. And, 2 years into the business, she's like, where's all your receipts? Where's all your... So I had a big tax bill, enough to almost buy myself a brand new car. And it was just crazy how if I didn't have her in my life, that I wouldn't have understood that till like maybe 2 or 3 years later. So she's really good at keeping us accountable, but also making sure that we're realistic with our forecasts and budgets. If we need reports or dashboards to see the health of our company, she's just, straight away. But even though she's a teacher, I feel like God put her in a place to become this wicked chartered accountant, super organized and that, for the purpose of helping us at ProForm. So we can only see that in hindsight. But yeah, she's been so instrumental in our success and still is.
Awesome. Okay. So in the conversation thus far, like you've mentioned, a lot of people, Hillsong, and for those who don't know, Hillsong is a Christian Australian, it's church, but it's also they have like music, and not familiar with the church, you might be familiar with. You mentioned God. How does faith play a role in your life?
It's definitely my number one,
Yeah.
It's the first thing I do every morning, which is dive into the word and crack it open, I'll read a few verses, and whichever one stands out, I've got a Bible chat with a couple of boys on there as well who, we kind of throw what it resonates with us for the morning and then a little bit of thoughts on that, and we hold each other accountable. But, in business, the order does matter. And I think if we keep the main thing, for me, it's my belief in what Jesus did on the cross. And, it's just a huge part of everything that's happened. Like I can't confidently say that all my hard work and effort has led me to where we are today. A lot of serendipitous moments, a lot of things that happen that can't be explained happened at the right time, with the right person, and all the right factors involved. It's too crazy to think that happened by chance. And, for us, even my staff, I'm very open about my faith and the values that this company was built on. And I think the ability for me to just kind of share that authentically and without it is what it is, gives my own team comfort to be who they want to be as well, and to show up just as they are and just know that like we love them no matter what. So for the success of our company and the growth, definitely feel like God's been somebody who I would consider my business partner. And so when you have him in it, and is the first part of my day and is at the center of how we make decisions, because it's how we structured our values for the company, how can we lose? So yeah, I definitely feel like, it's been massive for us to have deeply spiritual roots for this biz.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. Are you the only Christian in your family, or is it broader than that?
Newly Christian, you say? Or we the only? Oh, no. My parents grew up in the Catholic Church, but we found, we migrated to Australia, and then when I was about 12 or 13, we got introduced to a local church. It's a Pentecostal church, and my parents have been part of that ever since. So I grew up in church, and the belief system, and really strengthened my faith at a very young age. So it's been part of my life for a long time.
Gotcha. How, this is kind of cycling back a little bit. How did your parents react? Obviously, they let you open business in their home, but what was that conversation initially like? Was it like, for sure, we get it, or some apprehension?
Well, I think, context-wise, you got to put yourself in their shoes. They've come from a place where they had no money, not many opportunity, and what they knew as like a safe, secure job was to get go to university, have a career, choose the job that has the highest paying amounts. And for them, it was being a doctor, So for them, they had a framework that they could see was how their kids would grow up and become. And, it's a very fine line, because it's either you're going to do it or you're not. And a lot on the line, a lot of stakes involved to get from Philippines to Australia. And so that's just, their plan. So when you deviate from that plan, it really did shook him. It shook him a little bit, because they can't imagine launching a business in their own time, like how risky that is and how challenging that is. So for them, that was absurd. But I pushed through, because I was like, there's no way. I actually got into medicine, by the way. I took the tests, and I got accepted into university to do medicine, but I also was offered an opportunity to work at a very prestigious clinic that was well known to work with all the Australian athletes. So I decided to park that, try this, see how I go, and then revisit this if I really wanted to. But 2 years in, just seeing what I did here and how I was able to lead that company and build their business gave me the fire to do the same with mine. So up until then, mine was just purely just a bit of a side hustle. But once I understood that, I was like, no, this is definitely what I want to do, is really run at this business and run at it hard. So yeah, my parents are freaked out, but once they could see the success and the money that was being brought through, they were fine with it.
Nice. Okay. With ProForm, you mentioned you have a number of facilities now. Like, obviously you started with one, but for the last number of years, you all have expanded to 7 or 8 locations.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. Okay. What does that look like? Do they differ in any way? Some big, some small?
Yeah, definitely. So we have 2 types of clinics. We got a flagship clinic and we got a satellite clinic. Our flagship clinics are the plugged in places that are a no-brainer. They are full. They are in high demand. We have the right type of people that we do our best work with around these areas. And so we secure ourselves in a spot there that's generally owned standing, has a bit of a vibe to it. They look beautiful, aesthetic. And so they're our flagships clinics. We also then have satellite clinics where they're just like little rooms that typically are in other businesses. So we have a women's health space that we're in, that we have a small room in there that we rent out, but collaborate with that. We also have one in a gym, another in a CrossFit box, and so on. So the reason why we have the satellite clinics is because, what we want to do is we want to provide access to as many people as possible, and not everybody can come to the flagship. And I think, when you're in business, rather than sitting there twiddling your thumbs, hoping people are going to come through the door, we like to go out into the community and kind of go towards our starving market. And for us, it's always been around health, fitness, unique niche health hub spots like this women's health studio, and CrossFit is massive for us. So that's our strategy. We have a few. and they don't look as glamorous, but still do the job well.
Gotcha. Okay. This is something we've messaged about a little bit, and that I've noticed on your Instagram feed. How would you say, I guess, what is the thought process behind the interior design of your spaces?
Yeah. So the best way I describe this is that we want our people to feel something or experience something that's different whenever they walk through our doors. And if you look at your typical physiotherapy studios, they're a bit old. They look like offices. There's equipment everywhere. It's dirty. There's carpet on the floor with mud from many, many years ago. Hospital grade curtains and just real old school vibes to it that don't really inspire people to want to be healthy.
Yeah.
Whereas you might walk through, for example, for me, like, if I'm going through the shopping mall and I'm going through maybe the higher end luxury floor of the shopping mall, you walk into something like an Aesop, for example, the soap. And you walk in and all of a sudden you're just like, where am I? I'm taken to a new place. This place is amazing. It smells good. It sounds fantastic. Like, it sounds calming. It looks aesthetic. And there's a mood that it creates. It conjures up some sort of feeling or allows you to take you away from the busyness of life for a second. But the thing is, Aesop's just selling soap. We use it all the time. So how is it that they're able to create this amazing experience where I now am able to buy my soap, but like also elevate that experience to a point where I feel great buying this product and it says something about me. I wanted to create the same experience in the physio studio because it hasn't really been done. And so the thought process is, what do we love? For us, it's like beautiful spaces and creating places that people feel inspired to want to be healthy and make a change. But we also wanted to take people on a bit of a journey, and what does that look like? Now, I'll give you an example of something in our studios. Each one of them has like a main table area where people congregate. And for me, a lot of like my greatest conversations and deep connections happen around like a dinner table over a meal or a coffee. And so you'll see like our Bella Vista Clinic has this big round table that our patients sit at and just talk. Same with North Rocks and so on. And so, a lot of our places are very considered. Each area is very intentional with how we select the type of thing. Like our mood boards are all completely different, but we wanted it to be like that model where it doesn't matter where you go, you're still going to feel premium. You're still going to feel light, fresh, inspired, but also calm. And so that's why our Bella Vista space is very light and airy, very high level. Our North Rock space is very like woody, stone, in the forest and trees. And then you got our Minchinbury space, which is super low light, moody, very, down regulating, and very warm. So each of them have their own different appeal, but they all still exude premium, luxury, calmness, that sort of thing. So that was the thought process. Same feeling, different experience.
Gotcha. Okay. And then for each area, did some of the local landscape and environment play into some of what you selected, or is it kind of like you walk out of the exterior and they're like, this is just
Yeah, I feel like for us, we try to stick to like Australia, and some of the elements of being Aussie, but also we would consider the area. Like, we'll work with what we've got, with the North Rock space, its own standing, lots of glass, plenty of light and a lot of greenery. You wouldn't want to have something that's really loud and takes away from that's outside, So we wanted to somehow almost seamlessly integrate that with our internal space where they complement each other. So yeah, we do consider what's around us. Sometimes it's hard because one of our places are in a business park. So, it is office spaces, but we try to change the office space so that there's a transition, like there's an easy transition from outside to sitting area to reception. or front of house. So yeah,
Okay.
I'd say for the majority, definitely considering what the outside looks like. Yeah.
Okay. Tying in an earlier statement to like the growth of ProForm, what would you say are the key steps needed for sustainable growth? And how did you learn them, going from having no idea about taxes to now successfully running,
Yeah.
Multiple locations? Obviously, your wife is the backbone, but like, what was that journey like?
Yeah. So there's really 4 bottlenecks that most allied health founders are going to find when launching their business. Okay. The first one is unclear direction. They don't know where they're going, where they want to, what direction they're going, what's the end point, what's the end goal here, how do we celebrate a win, how are we going to run our business in terms of the values that allow us to make decisions, and what is the clear economic objectives that define the mission of what we're trying to achieve this year, this month, this quarter. And so making sure that we have what I like to call a vision compass is something every founder is going to need, where you are able to look if you're heading in the right direction, but also you give yourself permission to set the direction. Like, where are we going? Are we going to the mountaintop? Are we going to the sea level? Are we going to the beach? Whatever. I think that's really important. And then I think the second thing is you also need a bit of a GPS system to see where you are on a map. Because there's no point having a compass and no points or milestones to hit or checkpoints to know that you're heading in the right direction. So I think for sustainable growth, how will you know that you're growing towards something if, one, you haven't defined the endpoint, but also you haven't established clear, measurable milestones to hit along the way? And so you're going to need something like a dashboard to measure what matters in your business to move you forward to your goal. So that's like the first thing. And part of that is also, what problem are you solving? Who do you help and what problem are you solving? So understanding your dream patient persona like the back of your hand, okay? Because if you have the vision of where you're going, but you don't know who you're serving, then you're in it for the money, right? We got to be in it to make an impact. These are the businesses that last because they're not focused on short-term revenue metrics and goals, but like long transformational visions that impact the world. So who do we help and what problem are we solving? And the only way to really, really understand your dream patient is figuring out, who do I love working with? Because if you love working with them, you're going to do it for a long time.
Yep.
Who has the cash to pay me? Because if I don't have cash flow, I can't continue to run the business, right?
Yep.
Which is the thing. It's the truth. If you're going to run a business, this isn't a charity. You're going to need to make money. And it's not for your own personal gain, but to do stuff with the business, right? And am I good at helping these people? Do I have social proof or reps that I'm actually good at what I do? And finally, is there a massive need or gap in the market? What is the separator that makes me better or different and useful than the other physio down the road? You really got to understand those points. And when I say understand the dream patient persona that you want to work with, what I'm really trying to understand, or like you to do, is articulate their problems better than they can. So understand what are their core problems that keep them up at night. What do they want, right? Because if I understand those, I know exactly how to communicate to them. I know what hot buttons they have, and I know what problems that they have that I know I can solve, and I speak to that. Okay, so I'm not selling massage, dry needling, and all that. What I am selling is pain relief, the ability to do what you love, less stress, time to make more money, more success in your business. This is the stuff, depending on the DPP, the dream patient persona. That's the first bottleneck for a sustainable business, right?
Yeah.
The second one would be inconsistent leads. They don't know where they're coming from. They're sitting there waiting patiently for them to come through. And no one's coming, right? This is a big fear for a lot of founders. And so if you want to run a sustainable business, you got to have a system to predict how many people are coming through the door every single week or month based on like a clear system that you implement. And so I think for founders, what they really underestimate, and this is how I built my business, our clinic to $1 million for our first one, was just warm outreach. Speak to the people that already trust you, love what you do, and like you, and ask them if they know people that would want to see you, because they're going to be your biggest advocates, right? Easiest way to hack the funnel is like skip the whole awareness and top of funnel stuff. Go straight to I like you and I want to buy from you because someone else is pushing for you. And then figuring out then on top of that, how do you build a personal brand? Now, you and I have been part of a course to do that. And, it's probably one of the most important things moving into businesses of the future is like investing in the biggest asset that you've got, which is yourself. How do you build a personal brand that, attracts people, repels others? And it's a long-term game, personal branding. Like we've been doing it for 2-3 years now. And it's only now that we're able to really utilize that and leverage off it. So that's the second thing, is like instant leads. And the third thing to build a sustainable business, I would believe, is like, the big problem, the bottleneck, is we're so awkward with sales. Uni teaches you how to treat, they don't teach you how to run a business. And so the moment you ask for money, you get weird about it. And I see it all the time. A lot of business owners, they're so scared to charge premium prices because they feel like they're ripping people off. But the thing is, if you're going to charge a premium, just make sure you deliver on the service. That makes complete sense to me. If you charge a premium and you don't deliver on your service, you don't offer value, now you're a sneaky sales or oil salesman, right? You're not a good guy. And I also don't think you need to give lots of value and not charge for it, which is where a lot of people do this. Because what's the risk? You burn out. You run out of steam. There's no more cash or fuel to run this plane. And so who suffers? You suffer, your business suffers, your family suffer. Who wins? Your patient, for a little bit, until your business goes broke. I think that's one of the things is sales. And it really comes down to two things. One, having a flagship offer that you're known for is like the reason why people come to you. What does that look like? And how do you package it in a way that's a no-brainer for people, but it offers maximum value, but also huge amounts of cash flow? And then the second thing is just making sure you run the greatest consultation of all time. When someone comes through your door, if you have such a great initial consultation that blows them away, not so much because you can flex your clinical muscles and what you know, but more so because you're able to show them what the problem is, how big it is, where the gap is, and if you don't do something about it, what's the risk? If you can show that story using a framework that like allows you to take them on that journey, then that I believe is what's going to get you across the awkward sales bit, because you're just guiding. You're being a guide, not the hero. And I think the final bottleneck, which is what we talked about, is just getting into the technician trap of doing all the work and not being able to work on the business because you're wearing all the hats. You don't realize that you need to hire the right people. And so, I've made some poor hires in the past, but that bottleneck of when do I hire someone? How do I hire them? Like who do I look for? I think it's the first one. But so hiring all-star people that are going to progress your business forward. I mean, why do you hire people, right? It's for them to do a job better than you can do it. Not so that you do their job for them, but they can do it by themselves. So you got to have all-star hires. And the second thing is just yourself. Because here's the thing, you can't lead people unless you know how to lead yourself first. And being able to just shift your mindset to more of a CEO mindset versus a technician is a challenge in itself. So if you want a sustainable business, you've got to get out of the here's what I know about treating and into here's how I can help my team make more impact, and learning to delegate, replace, eliminate, automate, all that sort of stuff. I think so important. So those are my 4 things, I reckon, to build a sustainable, profitable business.
Nice.
Nail those and off to the races.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're doing some of this now with other practice owners as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that shift that you made? And
yeah, I think when you've done it for such a long time, you kind of get to a point where it's like, okay, is this all that I'm called to do? Like I know I'm meant to make an impact and I feel like we've done that for our patients. A lot of our practitioners, we invest a lot into their own personal branding to establish who do they do their best work with. And so we're helping them dial in on making their impact on the world. And then I'm impacting my staff. I'm trying to help them achieve things. I had two of my staff buy houses in the last month, which is incredible. To buy a house these days is like almost impossible. But
so it's rough in Australia too, huh?
What's that?
Buying a house is rough in Australia too.
It's hard. It's rough, man. It's hard. It's hard work. But that was a dream of theirs, and I helped them get there. So like, I'm doing good stuff for my patients, our patients. I'm doing stuff for our staff. And it's like, okay, is this all that we're meant for? And one thing, as you can already tell, that I love talking about is business. And when I look back at what I didn't have, remember, I didn't have business owners that want to invest in me and my success and celebrate that I wanted to open a business. And I didn't know where to find them either, even if I tried looking. So I now have been like, if I could give myself advice or an opportunity to get ahead in life a lot faster, what would that look like? It would be to be the coach that I wish I had back in the day. So now I'm running this cohort. It's called the Practice of One. And the reason I called it that is because I feel like everybody they should be able to choose how they run their business and create a category of one practice that makes them so unique that there is no competition. You don't need to compare yourself to other people. And so that's what I'm doing. It's an 8-week cohort that I run a few times a year, and we jump on calls, live calls once a week. We do a big Q&A, but we're most importantly part of a big community where allied health professionals gets to bounce ideas off each other, share their frustrations, celebrate their wins. And it's been so fulfilling. So now awesome. I feel like I've ticked all of it. B2C model, B2 practitioner model, and B2B model. And this is kind of our new season.
Nice. Awesome. Well, just to clarify for some folks, when he mentioned having a position that attracts some and repels others, repelling, it may come off as, odd, but it's necessary. If you're running a business, like you have to be kind of clearly positioned for certain people with certain issues, in a particular area. Especially with, what you're doing and what I'm doing, like it's crucial. The wider the net, the more diluted the message, diluted offer, etc. So there needs to be a clear, doesn't mean that somebody dislikes you. They just realize and recognize that you're not for them and they need to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the whole, you could help everyone, but it doesn't mean you should. Because let's imagine, for argument's sake, Brian, you had to get surgery on your lower back, for example. Okay. Would you go to a general practitioner to get that done? Or would you go to a surgeon to get that done? Right. But everyone's trying to be a general practitioner because they think it's being inclusive to everybody. But there's only a certain amount of time that you're able to invest in your own education to get really good at stuff. There's also constraints on the scope of practice that you have as well. So it doesn't mean that this GP isn't well-intentioned to want to help you. They just aren't the right fit for what you're after. And that's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a matter of fact. And so rather than trying to see yourself as like, oh no, I just need to be inclusive to the world, recognize you have the intention to want to care for everyone. That's fine. You can love everybody that you wanted. But when it comes to doing the right thing by them because of a good market fit, you really need to understand who you're best able to serve based on your proficiency, your passion, your pain point, and your profit. And then you use your time, your limited energy and time to focus on those and speak to those. Because if you try to speak to everyone, you're not going to connect with anybody, right? No, you're going to speak to no one. And so the other side of it, like you said, Brian, like when you polarize a market, is you allow people to cut through the noise as well. And it's super clear and very easy to understand. And that's what we want, is like, if we're going to make an impact based on our metrics of what we're good at, etc., I want my message to go out to the right person who I'm going to be able to attract. And then everybody else respectfully, I'm going to say I wish I could help you, but unfortunately, I'm not the best person for you. That's okay.
That's a good lead into our final question. So what are 3 things that your average person in need of, they're looking for someone or something to help them live more pain-free. What should they be looking for in a physiotherapist in a clinic?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing I'd say to that, like, living pain-free. I just don't, not sure if that's like a promise that we can 100% always deliver on. Right.
For sure.
But to change that around, and I can't remember the name of the person, and I should give them credit for this, but if we can change that saying around to be free of pain, then I think that's a better message to come across. Because now you accept that pain is there, but you're free from the shackles of it, Because pain is so limiting. It affects your mood, your emotions, your decision-making. So I think the first thing to look for in a physio is going to be one that understands that concept, is that we may or may not be able to get you pain-free, but I will be able to allow you to be free of pain, in terms of free of what the disadvantages of pain has or it holds on your life right now. Now, you might be able to one day move pain-free, and that's great. But if you don't, at least I've given you the tools to be able to live in a way that embraces that pain is there, but able to function moving forward. So I think first is perspective on pain and our understanding on pain and the multifaceted complexity of it, and is able to look at it at a biopsychosocial cultural lens. Second would be a physio that appreciates and acknowledges your pain, because if you look at the research, the biggest indicator of success or positive outcomes in treatment sessions is the therapeutic alliance. So it's not really, and not saying that it's not just this, but it's not just what you know. It's how well you connect with the person in front of you. And to connect with someone means you need to be able to put yourself in their shoes, empathize with them, be able to feel what they feel, acknowledge that the pain is real, and then you can move forward. Because there's 2 truths about this. People buy from who they like, but they also trust what you say from the person that they like, right? So if you're going to give advice, the best thing is to become likable. How do you become likable? You need to be able to build a therapeutic alliance, which for me is giving people freedom and space to talk and to ask really high quality questions. Because I see a lot of practitioners try and flex their clinical muscles and just kind of go, I know everything. I'm the hero of this story. Let me save you. But if you have a physio that's able to give you space to just communicate your pain, talk about your frustrations, what are your goals, what do you want to get out of this, and ask the right questions and kind of gently say, man, I appreciate you sharing all that, and I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I can help you. And here's what I'm hearing. Okay, it sounds like, and what I'm hearing is this. Is that correct? Like gives you space and room. I think you need a practitioner who's a guide, not the hero. And a third thing about pain would just be to make sure that they're giving you sound advice on how to tackle it, right? Now, everyone's going to have their own flavor. As you know, Brian, with us, we like aquabags and the Franz Bosch dynamic systems approach. And that's like our squeeze, right? That's just how we've been able to help a lot of people. And that may not be for everybody, but have a sound way of dealing with pain in your way that you can confidently deliver and stick to your strengths. I think that's good. And don't operate outside your scope, because that's risky. At the same time, be flexible enough to go, well, this toolbox doesn't work for this patient, so we're going to either refer on to someone else or be like shift gears here for a second and use another strategy in our toolbox that may work a bit better. So flexibility and humility in the treatment process to work with what's working, what's not, but also to work with you collaboratively, I think is key, because there's really two people that are experts in the room: yourself on what you know about the injury, etc., but the person who's experiencing pain. And so if you can get those two together, I feel like that'll increase your likelihood of success.
For sure. I can attest to that too, having been a recipient of
Awesome.
their method of care.
Thanks, man.
Cool, man.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, much appreciated. This has been great. And yeah, appreciate your time and thank you for your expertise. And I will, when this all goes live, there'll be information to connect with you, both folks who may be interested in utilizing you all's physio services, either locally or abroad, virtually. And then also if you're allied health professional and you want to learn more about what Buzz has done and glean from him to help you grow your business, we also have a way for you to connect.
Amazing. I appreciate you, Brian. Thanks for having me on. That was awesome.
For sure, man. Much appreciated. And cheers till next time. All right.